The Russian military has developed in a very different way from the land power of the United States, because of its geography, historical experience, strategic circumstances, and military doctrine. The Russian army is moving towards a higher percentage of professional contract personnel. New Russian armored vehicles such as the T-14 Armata tank and the Kurganets infantry fighting vehicle show a greater emphasis on defensive capabilities. Following are the four main Russian ground warfare systems today that illustrate the continuing differences in Russian military capabilities. Russia's main battle tank is the T-72B3. The T-72B3 is far from being a super tank, as hundreds of them proved capable of being crushed by the US M1 Abrams and British Challenger tanks in the 1991 Gulf War. However, the T-72B3 has the important quality of being much cheaper to operate and weighing only about 45 tons, compared to 60. Up to 70 tons of Western tank designs. This meant that the Russian tank could slide on more European bridges than Western tanks could potentially bring down the bridge that was about to cross. Improvements to the T-72B3 and T-90 cannons, thermal imagery, and ammunition now provide the opportunity to penetrate the frontal armor of Western main battle tanks at shorter combat ranges, although Western tanks still benefit from superior sensors and fire control. While the T-72B3 and T-90 tanks may not be favored in hand-to-hand combat, Russia borders many countries that are not heavily armored. Russian tanks can overrun these enemies before NATO can move the heavier tanks to the front lines. The T-72B3 and T-90 were coated with explosive reactive shields to prematurely trigger shaped charge warheads. Additionally, they are equipped with active protection systems designed to jam infrared and laser guidance systems, in some cases even capable of shooting down incoming missiles, a feature Western tank designs are only beginning to implement. The Red Army had centuries of cordial relations with Western artillery. Russian military doctrine emphasizes centrally directed, larger-scale artillery fire aimed at annihilating enemy forces, while Western militaries focus on increasing precision and response time to support troop maneuvers and minimize additional damage. A prime example of the lethal impact of Russian artillery firepower is the BM-30 Smerch, a truck carrying 12,300 mm rockets carrying dozens of cluster sub-munitions each that can hit targets up to 60 miles away. In addition to standard fragmentation and armor-piercing bombs, the Smerch cluster rocket can hit targets with thermobaric warheads that set off terrifying firestorms, which suck oxygen from the lungs of survivors of the initial heat blast. The bulk of Russian artillery consists of about 7,000 older 2S-1 and 2S-3 self-propelled guns, 500 of the more modern 2S-19 MSTA systems, and 1,000 BM-21 Grad multi-rocket launcher systems. Russian tactics involve using electronic warfare and special forces to fix enemy positions so they can be annihilated with artillery. For example, Grad's 3-minute offensive paralyzed a battalion of the Ukrainian army and inflicted more than 100 casualties. The new ISCANDER tactical ballistic missiles are much faster and more accurate than the Scud missiles used by Iraq to bombard targets in Saudi Arabia, Israel, and Iran to their lethal effect in the 1980s and 1990s. Additionally, they are designed to evade air defense missiles by evasive maneuvers and bait countermeasures. The ISCANDER's 1,500-pound conventional warhead is terrifying enough, but it can also carry a 50-kiloton nuclear warhead. Unlike the United States, Russia still has a large stockpile of tactical nuclear warheads that its military believes can be used to de-escalate tensions by intimidating adversaries into withdrawing from conflict. The United States' modern air defense system is increasingly oriented towards defending against ballistic missiles, as its ground forces have not lost to enemy manned aircraft since 1950. Russia's ground and strategic forces cannot rely on air superiority, so it chooses to deploy a wide range of surface-to-air missiles and interceptors in a multi-layered integrated air defense network that can strike fighters, bombers, cruise missiles and drones in a variety of places with range, speed and altitude. Different. The spearhead of Russian air defense is being spearheaded by the truck-mounted S-400 Triumphator. The S-400's battery consists of multiple radars, command vehicle and launcher that can track and fire missiles on up to 36 aircraft simultaneously for a distance of 402 kilometers. This means Triumphator batteries in Syria and Kaliningrad could disrupt airspace over air bases in Turkey, Cyprus, Poland and Germany. Realistically, the S-400's long-range 40N6 missile is primarily intended to attack larger and slower refueling aircraft and radars, while the smaller, more agile fighter or cruise missiles will be countered at shorter ranges using the 48N6 and 9M96E missiles. More maneuverable. The S-400's battery also uses a low-bandwidth search radar that can potentially track the position of stealth aircraft, although it doesn't actually lock them up until they enter short range.